Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be teaching old dogs new tricks. Well, I've got 5 emails I'm going to go through with you. The first email is going to be a little bit long. It's from a guy who found out about my work from his younger brother, and these guys are in their late 40s, early 50s. But before we get into it, I got a quote I'd like to share with you on this topic. And it says, "Most people by the time they hit their 30s have stretched outside their maximum comfort zone limits of who they think they are capable of becoming and will not go any further. From that point forward, they tend to major in minor things due to their fear of the unknown, fear of success, fear of failure, or fear that they won't be loved and accepted by their friends, family, peer group, or potential lovers. Everything in nature dies when it stops growing, and the only way to truly live and expand who you are is to continue to learn and grow beyond your comfort zone. Why? You're either growing, expanding, and becoming more, or you're slowly dying, little by little, piece by piece." That last part of that quote was, I got inspired from a Bruce Springsteen song. It was called "Racing in the Street." I think it was probably from like the 1970s. I was actually out by the pool earlier getting some sun, and that song came on. It was on my iPod. And the line where it came up was, the line of the song, he says, "Some guys, they just give up on living, and they start dying little by little, piece by piece." And that, you see that a lot of that. People get there, it's like amazing. People hit their 30s, and it's kind of like they got their job, they got their career, maybe they have their relationship set, and they never really, it's like all the dreams they had when they were in their late teenage years, early 20s, they've just kind of given up on those. Or maybe they've taken some risks and things didn't work out, and they just kind of give up on that. And it's like when you give up hope, or you lose hope that things can change for you, or they can become better, or that your life can become better, in a way, you've already kind of given up on life and living and realizing your full potential in your dreams. That's why I'm excited to get into this guy's email and his experiences here. He says, "Hey Corey, about 5 months ago I received a phone call late one evening from my younger brother in Georgia with a sense of urgency in his voice. He told me that there was a book he just read and I absolutely had to read for myself. It was changing his life in the way he viewed relationships with women. He went on to elaborate using terms like attraction level, manservant, being a 3% man, etc. And he said we had lived so much of our life with the wrong mindset. We have been brought up, programmed to process women and relationships in a certain way. Pretty much all of us had. It's a way of getting out of the matrix, if you will. He says, we came from a great family who was very athletic and laughed at everything. Both of our parents were awesome. My brother's 46 and I'm 51, so we're not exactly in our 20s anymore, although we are very robust in our personal lives. After finishing your book the first time, I realized what my brother initially had told me. Almost everything I did, almost all my ideas about relationships and women were dead wrong." He puts in big, bold letters. He says, especially the parts about reading women. Ouch. It was humbling to me at my age to realize this. It's humbling for any man to realize that basically you don't know jack shit about women. And I got to that point in my mid-20s. And it's not very fucking pleasant because you don't really feel like much of a man. And I can imagine, obviously, getting to be basically twice the age that I was when I really started to realize this, that I had to learn this stuff. But the good news is you can learn all this stuff in a very short period of time that took me many years to figure out and a lot of fucking pain. He says, we're both very physically active, and he was a college soccer player, and I played hockey in Canada at a high level for many years. We're not wallflowers, and we know how to exude excitement, humor, and personality with women. We know how to go after and make any necessary sacrifices for what we want. Sounds like you understand what masculine energy is about, at least when it comes to purpose and mission in life. He says, we're both fortunate in that we both look much younger than our actual age, but we're both average-looking guys. But there were some major pieces missing. We have both been through many failed relationships. He's been married and was devastated when he found out his wife was cheating on him. Ouch. That sucks. He says, I've been close to marriage multiple times, but have never tied the knot. Here's what we realized more than anything. Neither of us have acted like strong men. We were fine during the initial bird dance with what we both have been involved in. He was in a band that recorded multiple albums, and I was in a singing group that recorded and toured the world. We didn't have to show much effort because the women would come to us. Neither of us were involved in those areas of performing anymore. Yeah, it's like when you're on stage, you're kind of rocking out your cock out. I mean, it takes a lot of guts and a lot of risk to hop up in front of a stage in front of thousands of people and sing and really do something that you're passionate about. That is the embodiment of masculine energy, and that's why you see a lot of beautiful women chasing after these ugly rock and roll musicians, because that's what masculine energy is all about. That's what it draws them to that. Even though these guys might be, that are on stage might be totally fucked up and totally inept. But it's like the women project their fantasy of what they think the ideal guy is onto them. He says, but once we became involved on a deeper level with any of these women, we became needy pleasers. To use your words, the woman became the celebrity and we treated her as such. To think back at the behavior we displayed on a consistent basis, we were embarrassed. It's even awkward to speak about it now. Now that we look back, we understand why these gorgeous women would distance themselves from us time and time again. We were raised to be gentlemen and learn the value of authenticity, but there is a fine line between chivalry and being a total pussy. We got lost in the fog somewhere. Following your book has been a life changer, a continual learning process, and we have to constantly read it to reinforce what we've learned. As I say all the time, repetition is the mother of skill. He says, now I'll go out on each date with a few simple things to accomplish. That, for me, are major changes in the way I would naturally behave. I keep it simple. I recently started online dating and have been overwhelmed at the response I have received the past few months. I followed some of the thoughts you suggested in your book. Well, if you thought about my work 5 months ago, you probably read the first edition. I highly encourage you to pick up the second edition, or if you read the Kindle edition, to re-download it so you can read the second edition, because there's an article I wrote a while back called The Ultimate Online Dating Profile. So if you Google Corey Wayne, The Ultimate Online Dating Profile, and apply that, that'll really help in the mindset in which you need to focus on. He says, I've had a lot of dates, yet none of them have gone further than the initial meeting for coffee, which means I have some work to do. He says, according to your book, the less you tell about yourself, the more they want to know, is absolutely true. And women tell me that my brief opening profile sees it apart from any others on the site. Like in my, I've been playing around with this Tinder app because I had so many people like, Corey, you got to figure out Tinder. You got to do a video on Tinder, and eventually I'm going to. But I'm having a lot of fun with it right now. And all I have is 5 pictures of myself, and my tagline is basically "Let the good times roll," and that's it. And I just make dates. I mean, it's really simple. I send maybe 2 or 3 messages back and forth, and it's all about making the date. And I get a lot of compliments from women liking the fact that my no BS approach, because obviously lots of guys that are interacting with them are sending dozens of messages back and forth because that's what they think they're supposed to do to create attraction. But I'm not ready to reveal all my secrets yet, because at the end of the day, a lot of these women that I'm dating, they watch my videos. So I got to be careful about what I say, or I'm going to cock block myself. So he says, but when I would meet a woman in person, I had to remain disciplined yet relaxed the entire time. The second I became complacent and sloppy, I found that I would revert right back to my old mode of behavior, oversharing and coming off as a pleaser. I've been doing it wrong for so long, it will be a daily exercise to get it right, but it's never too late to get on the right track. That's a great mindset to have. He says it's amazing that when you do some self-analysis, how much you can learn about yourself. I have recently been a director of marketing executive for a software company here, and also do professional photography and custom graphics, so I know how to present myself. But once you get past that point of the initial meeting, you have to have a good plan with the right philosophy, or you will fail every single time. Plan your work and work your plan. It's just like Confucius said, success depends upon prior preparation, and without said preparation, there is sure to be failure. He said it's something I'm currently working on. For my brother and I, even with living in different cultures, the book has helped us understand relationships. And I will say it again for both of us. The single most important thing about reading your book for us was learning how to read women. That's it. Then you provide some crucial basic tools on what to do after you learn to read their moods. Without providing the follow-up strategy, we would be dead in the water. The term she used that my brother and I share most often with each other over the phone when talking about our newfound learning process with understanding women is, there's another bus every 15 minutes. He says it's true. If her interest level has dropped to a certain level, it happens to everyone, there's more waiting at the bus stop. Here's one brief story that I'd like to share with you. Recently, I was contacted by a woman that wanted to meet up with me. I followed the rules of protocol regarding texting, phoning, emailing, etc. We met for coffee and the traction level was high. She initiated to take me out that same night to a professional bull riding event in a major arena. Well, she was definitely in you. She reached out to you. She initiated the whole thing. And that's a good sign. That means she really was digging you. He said it was at a corporate suite, and she was tall, blonde, tanned, beautiful white smile, slim, really bubbly, green eyes, lots of sex appeal. As recently as 6 months ago, I would have immediately called my brother head over heels for this stunner, jumping up and down, emailing him her photo. I would have done anything to please her, to keep her on my arm so I feel like a real man, lol. Everywhere we went in the arena, guys were turning their heads to grab a look. That is such a great feeling, isn't it? He says, and she knew it. And as the night wore on, little things started to appear in her personality. By the end of the evening, I was ready to move on. As gorgeous as she was, my interest had dropped. Physically, she was beautiful, but inside, she was unattractive. I walked away from it. I know, it's like I remember the first woman that I walked away from that was a fucking knockout. This girl posed for Playboy. I mean, fucking physically, just the type of woman every guy would just love to have. Typical blonde, tan, perfect body, bombshell. But she was a fucking dingbat. And she's a mess. Her life was a total mess. But it's just amazing. It's like your perception totally changes, and now you're ditching girls that are like 6 months ago you've been going bananas over. He says, I'm worth more than that, and that was a huge change for me, almost like a watershed moment, a sign that I have taken to heart what I've read in your book, but I don't kid myself, the lesson is still in progress. My brother and I have found that if we go back and read your book again, it answers 99% of your questions, but it works. It's not a one-step, quick cure-all, it is an ongoing process for us that never stops. Exactly. It's just like I say all the time, like professional athletes, they're just trying to get a little bit better every day. And as a man, or as a woman if you're watching this, you just try to get a little bit better each day. He says, when you've spent most of your life doing it wrong, you cannot change the behavior pattern overnight. We've recommended your book to friends and relatives back home who have had the same struggles. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that story. So let's get into the second guy's email. He says, hey Corey, thanks for your great advice. I've been using it for the past month and have already seen great results. I'm currently dating 2 women and have several others offering me their numbers. One thing I've noticed is that you say that 97% of men don't understand the art of attraction. But do 97% of women understand this as well? Absolutely not. But what I will say is most women understand attraction a lot better than the average guy does. And so it's like once you start to apply this stuff, you realize that a lot of women are just as fucked up as the average guy, but they just know more about attraction and dating than the average guy does. He says, some of the women I talk to show signs of neediness and confusing behavior. What I want to know is, are these women worth pursuing, or shall I move on to more level-headed girls? Definitely keep searching. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. I mean, maybe you hang out with these girls just for one night or one weekend or a couple of weeks. But it's totally up to you. But the idea is that I give you the tools for your toolbox so you can make your own mind up, so you can have choices, and you can walk away from a girl if she doesn't have her act together. And what you'll realize is the more you apply this stuff, the pickier you're going to get. Because when you first start using this stuff, you just want a hot girl. And then you get a couple hot girls, and you realize the chemistry's really not there. Other than having sex, you don't really want to hang out with them very much. And what you want is a complete package. You want someone that not only do you have sexual chemistry with, but you have emotional chemistry, spiritual chemistry, and mental chemistry. So let's get to the third guy's email. This guy says, hey coach, first off, I want to thank you for all your great work that you do. You're a great help to all of us guys that are still learning. Thank you is my mission and purpose in life. He says, I'd like to ask you about a situation I had with an ex-girlfriend. She's 18 and I'm 25. We dated for about 4 months. When we started dating, everything went great, and she pursued me and did all of the chasing. That's the way it's supposed to be. He says, I let her come to me, and about 1 month into it, she told me that she loved me, and she would say how I'm different from all the other guys, and I would make her tremble just by me kissing her. It was amazing. She's a gorgeous girl, but I never let jealousy be an issue. If she wanted to party with her friends, I was totally okay with it. I mean, at the end of the day, nothing you can really do about it. You got to give her the space to come and go as she pleases, just like a cat. Because if you try to tie a cat down, it's just going to bolt on your ass. He says, about 3 months in is when I started having trouble. I'm a busy guy, I have a full-time job, and I own a business on top of that. So I don't have a lot of free time. And she was just out of school with no job and usually stayed at my place. Around 3 months in, she started complaining, getting mad, saying I don't treat her like she thinks she should be treated, even though I've always told her that I love her and was sweet and would drop what I was doing to try and make her feel better and show her that I love her. Well, obviously things were good in the beginning, and then at some point your behavior changed because she started becoming bitchy. Whereas she knew you were a busy guy in the beginning, so obviously something changed there. And usually when something changes and you're not spending as much time with her, she can feel it. You weren't completely 100% present with her like you once were. And that's why women become bitchy like that, because they're hurt. They start to feel like you don't care. Even though you said yourself that you were reassuring her and telling her, obviously whatever it was that you were doing in your actions was not the same way it was in the beginning. Because if it was, she wouldn't be bitching and she wouldn't be complaining. Remember, the courtship never ends. But what I would say more than likely happened is at some point, after a few months of having this girl, you got kind of a little bored, you got a little tired, and then you kind of got more refocused on your purpose and your mission in life to the point where you just weren't putting your best foot forward. Probably she did things that turned you off. And a lot of guys, they don't look at that. They don't look at the fact that, I mean, at the end of the day, if you still felt the same way, I mean, it's only been 4 months, but that happens. Sometimes you meet a great girl and things are going awesome, but after a few months of dating, you just kind of get bored with her. I mean, it happens. It's okay. It's like, don't try to hold on to a relationship if it's just simply not there anymore. He says, but my work is important to me, and it did get in the way of me spending time with her. Everything we did was planned around my work schedule, and I had to change plans on her often when work stuff would come up. She would get mad and tell me I'm an asshole and that I don't love her, and I would tell her I do love her and care about her, and me like a dumbass thought that that was enough. Yeah, women know enough to look at your actions. If you really meant the things you would say, you'd make time. Because obviously when you first started dating her, you were making time, and you weren't jerking around and canceling plans at the last minute. So that just tells me that she kind of dropped on your scale of priorities. Because if you were still treating her the same way, she wouldn't be complaining like she was towards the end of the relationship. I mean, that's just, it is what it is. He says, this was before I had your book, and I didn't understand how to communicate with her, and it would lead to us arguing quite a bit. Something else, if you argue with a woman, that's a bad way to go. It means you don't understand her, and all that's going to do is just going to get her to the point where she's going to be like, fuck this, you don't get it, you can't understand me, and her attraction level starts to drop, and she'll fall out of love, and she won't be able to stay there. You know, at the end of the day, you've got to understand pickup skills, you've got to understand and master dating skills, and you've got to understand and master relationship skills. You have to be real rounded in all areas. Every guy is good at some point. Some guys are terrible at pickup, but once they get a girl after a while, they're great in a relationship. Other guys like you, it sounds like you're great right out of the chute, but when it comes to communication and relationship skills, you totally fall down on that. He says, she broke up with me a couple months ago, telling me we can be friends and I need to change before we can get together. She told me I was a good friend but not a good boyfriend. Was I just not standing up to her like I should have? Well, you were arguing with her, which is a bad way to go. And obviously something changed in the way that you were courting her. He says, or maybe not showing her enough attention. Yeah, it's like when a woman falls in love with you, she wants your attention all the fucking time. That means constantly. That means in the morning, and that means at night. And when you're giving her all that attention the first couple of months, when you're infatuated with her, and then all of a sudden you stop, she's going to become bitchy. And the average guy, when she becomes bitchy, what they start doing is using logic and reason to try to convince her why everything's okay and there's not a problem. And all she hears is that you don't care about her and you don't love her. And then all it does, she gets more pissed off, she gets angry, she gets upset, she starts to cry. And the more she gets upset, the more the guy tries to convince her with logic and reason, which just pushes her farther away because you're not understanding where she's coming from. And if you don't get this communication issue resolved, you're going to have the same problem. The next girl will dump you for the same exact reasons. He says, I did all the begging and pleading I shouldn't have for about 2 weeks, during which she texted me often and even texted me one morning to tell me about a dream she had of us having a baby. I still couldn't get her to give me another chance to show her that I love her. Yeah, because you're chasing and running after her after she ditched you. When a woman ditches you, you walk and never look back and you say, well, I'd love to keep dating and work things out, but if you're not going to try, then it's a moot point. Give me a call when you change your mind. And then a couple weeks go by and she reaches out to you. Hey, babe, I'd love to see you. When are you free to get together? Why don't you come over to my house, bring a bottle of wine, we'll make dinner together. That's the best way to start the courtship all over again. Have her come to your place because she's the one that ditched you. So don't go out of your way to hang out, have fun, and hook up with her when she stopped making the effort. He says, I saw the light and found your YouTube videos, and I put on my big boy pants and explained to her that I don't want to be friends, but I loved her and to call me if she changed her mind. She told me, you don't want to be friends? Weird. Yeah, because you'd already agreed to be friends with her before. About a week went by and she got a hold of me. When I proposed we meet up, she told me no. She just wanted to tell me your sister's baby daddy had died in a car crash. Well, that sucks. He says, I'm not very close to their family, so I don't get that. I told her I hope they are doing okay and I hope things are going better, and let me know if she changes her mind. She got a hold of me a week after that, and when I asked her to meet up, she said no and told me she wanted to meet to give me a movie of mine and get her apron. When we met up, I told her to give me a call if you change your mind. That was 3 weeks ago, and I haven't heard anything. Any advice? No. I just let her go, dude. If she's not willing to make the effort. I mean, you tried. You tried to get together. She said no. At the end of the day, it has to be her idea. So if she reaches out to you at some point, say after a month or two, and you invite her to get together, come over to your house, just like I mentioned earlier in the video, and she still doesn't do it, then from that point forward, whenever she gets in touch with you, I talk 2 or 3 minutes, hey babe, it's great hearing from you, but I got to run, keep in touch. And the only way you're going to make a date is if she brings up getting together and doing something. And that's it. And one of 2 things will happen. She'll either make plans at that point, or she'll stop calling. And the best thing you can do at this point is move on and start dating some other lovely ladies. So let's get into the 4th guy's email. He says, hey coach, your book and articles have changed my life. I got kicked to the curb by my girlfriend, and was trying to figure out how to get her back when I came across your work. After reading and listening to your material, I realized that I've been doing the same in all of my relationships. Yeah, it's like if I talked to all your ex-girlfriends, they would all have dumped you basically for the same reasons. That's why once you fix what you're doing wrong, you're the one that ends up being the dumper instead of the dumpee. Because it's always much better to be the dumper instead of the dumpee. Hence, that's why I kept getting dumped. You're a genius. Well, I'm just a guy that studies and learns a lot. And I'm always trying to better myself. And I just share the things that I learned. He says, anyway, I'm following your strategies and meeting and getting women left and right now. What I love is that now I have the option of choice. I practice so that when I do see a woman I want, the superpowers you've embedded me with can go to work immediately. He says, here's my question. What do you do when you're getting to know a chick and you meet her friend and you realize that the one that's the one you really want? Do you ask her for her number 2? Oh, okay. He says, what do you do when you're getting to know a chick and you meet her friend and you realize that you really want her friend? Do you ask for her number 2? Absolutely. This chick's not your girlfriend. Do you stop hanging out with the original chick? Only if you want to. He says, I've come across this scenario about 3 times and I'm not sure what to do. What's your take? Well, at the end of the day, if this girl that you just started dating really didn't like you, say you did something to turn her off and she really liked your best friend, guess what? She's going to go after your best friend. Women do it too. Go for what you want, man. That's the best thing you can do. And if you don't want to date the girl anymore, then don't date her anymore. So let's get into the 5th and final email. This guy says, hey Corey, I'm 46 and seeing a girl from the UK who's 28, and we've been seeing each other for 9 months or so, and she brought up the exclusivity thing at various times, but I kept telling her I'm not ready because she lied to me once, and from experience I don't trust girls who lie. The lie was bad enough, but the fact that it took her 4 hours to reveal the truth was even worse, especially when I called her out on it. Well, good for you, because at the end of the day, you can really only keep a girl like this as a sex playmate or a friends with benefits. She's not good relationship material, because you're never going to feel comfortable with a girl like this. So awesome for you for paying attention to what I teach and keeping her in that place until you find a girl who's well-rounded and balanced in all areas that you want. You got to have honesty. Just like at the video I did the other day, love cannot exist where there is not trust. And after all, what is the most important thing to men in a relationship? It's loyalty. And this woman is a liar, and you can never trust a liar. That's just unfortunately the way it is. He says, anyway, I get a text from her telling me that she's been looking at some new stockings, and I text back saying that I love it when she initiates sex. And then she answers, well, we'll have to see about the initiation. I thought, what the fuck? We'll have to see to me means no. I think you're overreacting a little bit, dude. He says, I answer, because remember, love is playful and fun. And if you're James Bond, think about it. Of course she's going to initiate. When you tell her what you want, of course she's going to do it for you. But you're presupposing, no, she won't want to do it for you. You have to say it and see what she does. See if her actions and her words match. But you didn't do that. You got all butthurt and you assumed the worst. And you're creating unnecessary drama at this point. He says, I answered, oh, okay, darling, have a nice day. Then she goes, of course I'm going to do what you want me to do. So I asked her, well, why not say that in the first place? And she said, I was just teasing and joking. Hello, McFly. It's like, come on. Girls like to, see, she likes to test and tease you. And what happened? She's teasing and playing with you, and you got all serious and butthurt. It's just totally unnecessary, dude. He says, now the previous night I had hit the gym, and I was not in a good mood. Yeah, so you projected your self-hatred and self-loathing onto her, and you created unnecessary drama with your sex playmate. He says, so I told her that I didn't find it funny, and that it was quite a turn-off, and for her not to take me for granted. And I canceled seeing her on Wednesday, and I postponed it for Friday. So it's like, oh, I'm taking my toys and I'm going home. I don't want to play with you in the sandbox anymore. He says, that's how I felt. I know love is fun and playful, but I just didn't need to hear that response. So come on, man. Seriously, dude. You're acting like a little fucking girl. He says, I left it at that because I didn't want to escalate it into anything silly. And she proceeds to try and ring me 20 times and sends me numerous texts telling me how much she loves me and wants to spend the rest of her life with me, to which I answered, darling, on Friday, snuggle up to me and tell me about it. He says she had been away at her parents' house Friday to Wednesday and sent that particular text Monday night, and I replied to it the next day at that particular time, we will see, was the last thing I wanted to hear. Hope this isn't too silly. Well, you're kind of acting like a jackass, and you're creating unnecessary drama because at the end of the day, you were in a shitty mood, and you were being a dick to your girl instead of being fun and playful. But she's just a sex playmate. Hang out, have fun, hook up as you continue to look for a woman who actually is honest because, again, major red flag here, the girl is dishonest. But like I said, your behavior in this particular case, that's just inappropriate. And you should always think about when you're in a bad mood or you're about to say something to a woman you're dating or your girlfriend or your wife, is this going to make me look more confident and secure in myself, or is this going to make me look like a weak bitch and turn her off? So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone coaching session. You can do that by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen, and follow the instructions. And I will talk to you soon.